Hello, my name is Vitoria Neuhard, and my research project is going to talk about read aloud influence on students' vocabulary and pronunciation. The contents of its research is introduction, review of literature, methods, procedures, results, and discussion. For the introduction, I would like to say that reading aloud in class or at home can leverage students' listening abilities and memory to help them connect with stories, learn new vocabulary, and improve their pronunciation. Repetition of words during read aloud sessions is essential for vocabulary acquisition. The hypothesis for this research paper is that if teachers increase read aloud time in classroom, students will learn more vocabulary and improve their pronunciation because they're listening and interacting with the language. One significant advantage of reading aloud sessions is the interaction between the readers and the listeners. Encouraging students to share personal opinions and using illustrations to explain new words can create more engaging read aloud sessions. It is important to provide opportunity for students to participate in read aloud activities both in the classroom and at home. Daily read aloud sessions across all grade levels are crucial for building the knowledge required for successful reading. Effective read aloud practices involve highly selected quality literature that will introduce students to rich vocabulary, enhancing their reading comprehension and overall communication skills. Review of literature. The read aloud allows students to build community and establish lasting literacy skills, especially when the selected texts grow students not only as readers but also as people and engage them in meaningful conversation using vocabulary in context. Research supports the idea that students' engagement is sustained shared thinking using turn and talk or reading partners helps to extend their understanding and make worthwhile vocabulary gains, and especially for English learners. That was said by Rosing 2020. Another way to effectively enhance the read aloud instruction impact is to be intentional with the vocabulary instruction. That was said by Lennox in 2013. A systematic approach to read aloud where the teacher models vocabulary development, reading fluency, and comprehension strategies, and requires the students to interact and become participants in their own learning. Johnston, 2016. Reading books aloud to students before they can successfully read independently provides students with access to vocabulary words that can aid English learners in language development as they expand their vocabulary bank for listening and speaking. Santoro, 2008. It is essential that students truly understand the words and are able to utilize those in different situations. Read aloud increases not only vocabulary, but it also helps students to make in-text connections. These repeated exposure to words in numerous contexts, using additional visual aids, reinforcing the vocabulary that they're talking about, can also accelerate this vocabulary acquisition. Johnston, 2015, found that an effective 20 minutes of reading aloud activity can expose students to the same academic words that would be found in content area textbooks and can increase their vocabulary development and enhance fluency in oral language. Reading aloud to students can really increase their vocabulary development and enhance their speaking ability, especially their fluency in oral language. As introduced to students diverse populations or cultural diversity and develops critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Johnston, 2015. Methods. The study involved 28 third grade students from 3 classrooms in an elementary school in Ohio. The students came from different backgrounds and included various native languages, with the only commonality being their third grade level and the amount of time they had been in school in the United States. The participants were divided into 2 groups of 14 students each. During 5 weeks, one group had read aloud sessions, and the other one did not. Picture books were chosen for their rich illustration and engaging stories, which are effective in capturing a young student's attention. The selected books contained age-appropriate content and were diverse in themes and genres, ensuring they were both educational and enjoyable to the students. Examples of the books used were Last Stop on the Market by Matt de la Peña and Christian Robinson, Be Kind by Pat Zitlow Miller and Jen Hill, and One Green Apple by Eve Bunting and Ted Liu. These books were chosen for their vivid language and inclusion of target vocabulary words. Each week, 5 vocabulary words were selected from each of these books. Procedures. The pre-study assessment was made where students were tested on their vocabulary knowledge and pronunciation skills. Both oral tests and questionnaires were used to assess students. The study design had 2 groups of students. The first one was the experimental group. This group participated in the read aloud sessions 3 times a week for 5 weeks. During these sessions, we focused on the selected vocabulary and pronunciation of those words. The other group, called the control group, continued with regular lessons without additional read aloud sessions. The read aloud sessions, every session we chose a book to read. So we choose 3 books every week, ensuring they contain the target vocabulary. Each session involved reading 1 book, discussing the story, and focusing on 5 target words. Pauses were made to explain the meaning of the target words, encouraging the students to repeat the words aloud, and facilitating discussions to reinforce the understanding and correct pronunciation. The same words were repeated and practiced throughout the week. Observation and data collection. The researcher observed the read aloud sessions, taking notes on students' engagement, participation, and progress. Weekly reflections were gathered about student responses and improvements. The post-study assessment was done at the end of the month. Students were reassessed on their vocabulary knowledge and pronunciation skills. Both oral tests and questionnaires were used to assess students. The data analysis. The research compared the pre- and post-assessment results to evaluate the impact of read aloud sessions on vocabulary acquisition and pronunciation. Observational data was also analyzed to provide qualitative insights into the study's effectiveness. By detailing the participants' materials and procedures used in the study, the methodology provides essential information for comprehending and replicating the research, ensuring clarity and accuracy in its execution and reporting. Results. The vocabulary acquisition results. The study assessed the impact of increased read aloud sessions on vocabulary acquisition among 3rd grade students. Their pre- and post-test results provided quantitative data on the vocabulary knowledge of both the experimental and control groups. So for the experimental group, the pre-vocabulary text was 65%. The post-test, 85%. So the experimental group grew 20% on vocabulary gain. The control group, pre-test vocabulary result was 67, post-vocabulary test 72, with a growth of 5%. So the experimental group grew 15% more than the control group. Now about the pronunciation. Pronunciation skills were assessed throughout oral tests and conducted before and after the study period. Students were evaluated based on their ability to correctly pronounce the target vocabulary words. The same words that we are practicing to know its definition, its meaning, were also put in here for students to understand how to correctly pronounce it. So the results were pre-test pronunciation for the experimental group, 60%, post-test pronunciation, 82%, with a growth of 22% for the experimental group. The control group started at 62%, and the post-test pronunciation was 68%, with a growth of 6%. All right? Discussion. These findings underscore the practical and theoretical significance of integrating read-aloud sessions to boost language competence. They support the learning role in language acquisition and propose a straightforward yet effective method for enhanced language skills, particularly for English learners. Encouraging the adoption of read-aloud practices can significantly contribute to students' overall educational development and literacy rates. Further research should continue investigating these benefits and expanding the understanding of read-aloud's enduring impact. If you have any questions or any answers, comments, please don't hesitate to email me. My email is limav@ohiodominican.edu. Thank you so much for your time.